here till the end with you, pal. Just like old Bucky Barnes, all right? That's the deal with y'all in this pod, okay? We're in it till the long haul, folks. That is what we're doing here. As usual and as always, this thing is for the sickos, the absolute fucking crazies out there that love professional wrestling. They don't love the drama around it. They are not a fan. You just are here because, you know, hey, maybe when you were a kid, you turned the TV on and the first thing you ever saw was Sting and Vader killing each other. You know, maybe you know, first thing you ever saw, you fucking pick up an iPad and John Cena's throwing a guy over the top, right? I mean, listen, I don't judge based on generation. Unlike I feel like our government should be judged very much by generation. We gotta get those fossils out, folks. But until we do, I am here to give you, I wanted to say the deets, but really the whole gimmick here is kind of, you know, as rapid fire as we can get, right? I'm not here to wax poetically about Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble. I'm just going to talk about it a little bit. I'm not going to wax poetically about Toni Storm or Mariah May, played by Toni Storm. Well, maybe I actually will because that was phenomenal. And I'm definitely going to fucking put over my boys the Guns. But, you know, before I get into any of that, I do want to do a bit of I don't do this a lot on the pod. I'm going to do a little plug ski here for actually something that I haven't done in a long time, something that I originally loved before a podcast was ever a podcast, and that is writing about wrestling. And folks, we did it, boys. Yes, I got onto the Sickos Club website as a contributor with my article, The Wrestling Proxies. It's all about how the WWE and AEW are literally engaging in proxy warfare now. I mean, especially with the latest news that Triple H and WWE are partnered with TNA. Of course, Tony Khan has done it with New Japan from the beginning. It just feels a little petty to me. It feels a little like, wow, you know, and mainly old Triple H over here. You know, I just a little sus. That's all. And I get into that, and I hope you guys will go read that. That's over at sickosclub.com. They have the writing section. I am in the contributors pool. And yeah, I'm very proud of this piece. There's going to be a lot more to come. I really enjoyed putting it together. I enjoy working with specifically Neon Ghost. Shout outs to him on various social medias. He's a great artist. And the other sickos, of course. But that was kind of my end for this thing. I really appreciate being part of that website. So there you go, folks. Go read me now. I'm not just filling up your ear holes. I'm making your eyes roll in the back of your head, kind of like that guy from Texas back in the day. Not so much anymore. So yeah, very excited about that. And I said it earlier, right? The Royal Rumble. I mean, I feel like I gotta at least make some comments about it. I thought that it was a fairly good show. I thought the Women's Royal Rumble started off very good. I'm not a fan of Charlotte Flair winning it, and it seems like their fan base is not either. It just was like very much so, maybe more than anything Charlotte's ever been handed. It felt very handed. Very much so. And, you know, there were so many other women that I feel like could have had that spot and probably done better with it, to be honest. I don't know. Charlotte just feels like a relic, and I hate to say that, but, you know, she wasn't gone all that long, I guess. I mean, it was over a year, and it just feels like, I don't know. It feels very old to me. And it's no offense to her. Not that she is old. I just mean the act, the thing. I'm like, ugh, Charlotte Flair, we're doing that again? So that was kind of a bummer. I loved the WWE Tag Team 2 out of 3 Falls title match between DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns. I mean, good Lord, of course. We did get fucking Jesus, I'm forgetting their names now. Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford, Street Profits. Jesus Christ. There you go, folks. That tells you how that WWE booking's going lately. Not too great. But yeah, they came back. Okay, cool. I'm trying to think of what else even happened. Oh, of course, the Cody fucking jack off himself match where he just killed Kevin Owens through ladders and shit to give us a finish that, I mean, we didn't think was not going to happen, but we also didn't want. And that led us to the men's Royal Rumble. And I will say I was very low overall on this thing because, I mean, you had Logan Paul in there for too long. Fucking, we all knew Cena was going to be near the end, right? And he was. He was the last eliminated. And I will say this. I was shocked when Jey Uso won. Legitimately shocked because I did not think they'd pull the trigger on him. But I will say this, you know, there's been a lot of conversation about him winning the Rumble. I mean, they're going with the hot hand. He is very popular right now. He is super fucking over. That Yeet shit, listen, I'm a boomer on the internet, and there's a lot of boomers on the internet, and I get that they're mad, okay, because they don't get it. And I get it. I don't even really get it. But I get that it's over. And I get that that is kind of what it is at the end of the day in this industry is, you know, what are you doing for me lately? And right now, old Hunter is having a fucking field day with the merch because of Jey Uso. So use it. Fucking give the guy the thing. And I've always said there needs to be more of this with the Rumble. There needs to be more of this overall in WWE. But give these guys that are over to the audience a little something. Holy shit. I mean, they obviously busted their ass to get over. The people care, so give the people what they want. So I will give old Hunter that. He did a great job with that. Of course, some news came out during that day that make it a little hard to really talk about WWE because it just is getting to where the plausible deniability of certain people in that company is starting to not be so plausible. I'll put it that way. And I'll kind of end the WWE talk with that. Let's get into some motherfucking AEW, huh? Let's do it. Dynamite was now, because we're early Friday morning here, Wednesday, Gateway Center Arena in Atlanta. This crowd was hot as hell for some AEW. I saw where a lot of people were like, it wasn't a great crowd. It's like, I mean, but I'll say this. I really am glad AEW's going with the smaller buildings route because I think it's going to help them long term. We start the show a little different. We've got Renee outside talking about the various goings on. We see people walking in the building. This felt very WWE in not a bad way because really more than just WWE, really sports, it's, you see it all the time. People, arriving with their shit and they show off the fits and everything else and what we're doing. So I didn't hate this. And we had Jay White outside walk up with Renee and they start a little promo and he's like, I have to rely on guys I don't want to, FTR and Cope, because the Death Riders always seem to have the numbers. And just as he says that, great production moment where they switch the camera and they're right there in front of him. And they think they got him dead to rights. They don't know that old Cope and Rated R are behind them. And a brawl ensues. And this was a fun little brawl. Little, through the crowd and shit like that. And we get to a point where Jay White's about to hit that Blade Runner on Moxley, and I like that they've been teasing this, and I hope there's a real reason. I'm not delusional. I'm almost certain they're gonna put the fucking title on Cope at Revolution. Am I okay with that? But I will say this: the Death Riders thing has to end soon, or at least evolve tremendously. It is not cool. And it's getting very stale. And I say that as somebody that, like, overall, I really do like the idea of the Death Riders. I like them as performers, but the angle is not progressing. Like, it just feels like we've been in this, honestly, since World's End. I feel like we've been in this stasis of nothingness. We're just sitting there. It's like something froze. And I don't know what the original plan for this thing was, but it seems pretty obvious that that went to shit at some point. And, this is the biggest problem with old Tony. And I love the guy, but he just doesn't pull the trigger enough on certain things. I think he holds on to shit too much, in my opinion. I think that, we should have got off this train a long time ago, but we are here. And we've got the thing where, Cope, he says again, come on, give me an answer. World title match at Revolution. Mox says you deserve nothing, you get nothing. No. Jay White says, well, okay, you said no to that. What about this? What about me and Cope against you and Claudio in Brisbane in an good old-fashioned Brisbane brawl? And that seems to be accepted. That was fine. But I thought that was interesting. Like, okay, whatever. But that'll be a great match. A solid match added to a card that is one of the most fucking polarizing of all time. Let me just get it out of the way. They never told you people it was going to be a pay-per-view. Never. In fact, most of us, when it was announced, had already suspected that the Max deal was pretty much happening and it would be at the very least a Max special. And now we know, yeah, it is, because it will be simulcast on TNT. It will be a special edition of Collision. Why this fucks with people, I don't understand. WWE literally does this with Saturday Night's Main Event. Nobody complains. Come on, people. And the other thing about the ticket prices, do you not understand that ticket prices are astronomical for everything? It's called the economy in the real world isn't good. Okay, folks? So there you go. And that leads us to Will Ospreay against a member of Don Callis' family. I think all of us sort of worked ourselves into a shoot here because, man, I saw a lot of conversation about it's going to be Speedball Mike Bailey. It's going to be Josh Alexander. Could be Kota Ibushi, which would have been very interesting. Obviously, I don't know what his health status is. Either way, it's just Mark Davis. And I hate to say just Mark Davis because I like him. But we had this whole thing, and I kind of suspected when they did the little round table cool thing, it couldn't have just been a round table cool thing with the Callis family and it not like end up annoying. It's like, fuck, really? We got that cool segment. It didn't even lead to anyone awesome coming in. It was just a guy we already had. A guy, too, by the way, that Don Callis family has, like, cucked, basically. Mark Davis has been beat to shit and embarrassed. I mean, I think at one point they beat up Ospreay in front of him, so it's, like, bizarre. And I get and I understand it because Don Callis on commentary did a great job of, hey, he's doing what he needs to do. He's making money. They're going with the he doesn't want to be there thing. But here's the thing. The fans don't want to be there either, though. They wanted someone else, and this wasn't what it could have been. It was a good match. It didn't go very long, though. Will Ospreay whooped that ass. And I mean, it just felt like this could have gone without the added and, in my opinion, unnecessary hype of who's it going to be. This is another thing that AEW does that I don't understand sometimes. It's like, why are we overselling? Because that's where a lot of the resentment with fans comes from. Because, and I'll tell you straight up, my wife, one of the biggest reasons that she's sort of like not involved with wrestling as much is we went to the first Homecoming show back in New Year's Day of 2020 before the pandemic. We're talking fucking years ago now. And they fucking promoted this thing like, we are coming to the home. We're doing all this shit, right? And nothing happened really. The only thing notable that I can remember from that show in terms of things that mattered long term was the formation of Death Triangle, which was cool. But in hindsight, it's like, all right, they won some trios belts. They lost that night to the Elite. It was a great show. Don't get me wrong. I've never been disappointed with AEW show-wise. What I've been disappointed with AEW is they oversold. And if you remember, they really promoted huge that this was going to be the Exalted One's reveal. That sort of like felt like it was happening. Now, again, much like the Death Riders thing now, I am adamant that something happened with that. I don't know what the fuck happened, but and then like Jericho wasn't there in person, and I just was a very weird, disjointed show. And my wife got very mad about it because, to be honest, she bought our tickets. They were very expensive. And she's kind of been on that train of like, hey, like AEW's better than WWE, but like they still have their faults, and I respect that and I understand it. And I do think that this could have just been, hey, we got Mark Davis under duress. You're gonna have to wrestle him next week, Will, you little bitch. Why not? I think it would have been the same thing. Anyway, Will Ospreay gets the mic. All the guys of old Callis family look like they're gonna whoop that ass, and old Kenny Omega comes out, cuts a little promo, and he's fired up about Brisbane. Awesome. Next, we get the World Tag Team Champions, the Hurt Syndicate. These guys, again, I say it every week, they're the fucking coolest guys maybe in the whole company. I mean, they just have something special. Atlanta was all about it. They were all about these guys. And MVP says straight up, hey, listen, we're not going to mess around. Like, whoever's ready, come on down. You want the title shot? We're open for business. Let's go. And the motherfucking guns show up. And again, another like, holy shit. See, this is what makes AEW awesome and what made them awesome to begin with. The truly shocking moments, whether it's a moment that is like shocking in a violent way or something like this where it's like, we knew the guns were coming, but we didn't know they were going to come out and call their shot against the Hurt Syndicate. And I'll say this, and a lot of people said this too, I feel like this segment really sort of catapulted them as real deal stars. They're not backup for Jay White. They're not just, Bullet Club guys. They're the guns. Like, they feel really different. And they get into how, hey, you know what? We won those belts. Like, we've had those belts. We're legit for AEW. And Hurt Syndicate, straight up MVP was like, I respect your dad, and I respect you guys having nuts to come out. So, yeah, we'll give the Ass Boys a chance. And that was pretty funny. And Austin's like, okay, well, fuck you. This was good. And I like that the guns weren't scared of these guys. They weren't the usual guns where it's like campy heel shit where it's like, well, we're goofs, but we're cool. It's like, no, we're just cool now. We're just cool. And we're getting the belts, so you can go fuck yourself. I really like that. And then we get to maybe the most entertaining human being in AEW, Harley Cameron. She's got Mercedes, the puppet, with her. They're talking back and forth about her having a concert on Collision, which is going to be amazing. We'll get into that. She's talking about how, I got my first win in AEW, and Mercedes is like, oh, you got your first win, huh? All right, well, I'm the greatest TBS champion of all time, and you're still a loser. And get away from my locker room, because you're fucking creeping me out. So that's good. That was great. I guess we go to commercial here because then Renee is again in the back. Renee is just running around, guys. She's just running around with a mic and a camera guy. She's really out in the field. She is quite literally a war correspondent for AEW, and she deserves all the flowers and shekels that can be given. So she's back there with Hangman. She's like, hey, you went to Swerve's locker room. I don't know what that was about. And Hangman's like, that was nothing. That was a moment of weakness, which I like that. It was like kind of, it was like that good wrestling homoeroticism, right? It's like, well, what do you mean a moment of weakness? Was that a booty call? What are we doing here? Like, I think Hangman treats violence like people do fucking. I think he, well, I was just, I was showing up. I was lonely. I was going to go to Swerve's locker room. We were going to fucking, make each other bleed. Oof, that could have. All right, I'm going to stop where I'm not head. Anyway, and he's like, hey, yeah, Christopher Daniels, everyone's sad about his neck and how I put him out. Hey, he fucking overstepped his bounds. He fucking agreed to a death match with me, and, I fucking put him out. He's not going to wrestle. Max Caster comes out. This was great, where he's like, hey, I love that you kill people. You should go kill Anthony Bowens. You should like burn down Billy Gunn's house. That'd be cool. And then Hangman's like, yeah, I should do all that, but they're not here. You are. And he runs away like a bitch, and Hangman follows. We get the International All-Star Tag Match. The Hounds of Hell, Brody King and Buddy Matthews against Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. This was very good. This was exactly what I wanted it to be in every way, and that includes the finish, because a lot of people were not happy about the finish because the Hounds of Hell just started. They got momentum, and yes, just go and rip the Band-Aid off already. Takeshita and Fletcher win this match, but they do not win it clean. All right? That's why I like this, because in the middle of this thing, fucking Buddy Matthews is bumping the fuck out of, I think it's Kyle Fletcher he's whooping on. And is it? Yeah, it is. Oh my God, I'm right. And in the middle of him, he's up on the top, and he's getting ready for that meteor knee. And Okada's Rainmaker music hits. Everyone's disheveled from this. They're like, oh my God, Matthews is looking at the screen like, magically, music's playing. I can't wrestle now. Takes his eye off the prize. Fletcher takes advantage, but Buddy still fights back. They're fighting. Fletcher survives. And then we've got a double brainbuster on Brody King. They take advantage of the fucking craziness and the bullshit. But this is fine. People are mad about it, and I get it, because I do hope this doesn't lead to what TK always does, where he starts a new project. He's all in about it. He's really excited, no pun intended, but maybe. And then it just sort of fizzles. It just sort of gets put on a back shelf. I don't think that with the Hounds of Hell. I think he knows, and I hope he knows, that with the Malachi situation, you fucked up, man. You had a guy that was in his prime, ready to go. You should have utilized him. He had like maybe 2 or 3 really good moments in AEW, and that's not good. He's been there since 2020, I believe. 2021, I guess. So it's just, I hope that isn't so. Because I think Brody King and Buddy Matthews, and I said this when they started this Hounds of Hell repackage, that really isn't even a repackage, just a rename. They are one of the only tag teams that feel like they can actually stand up to the Hurt Syndicate. And I hope they continue that, because I am adamant that I want that match at Revolution. I do. I think you can make it work. You can build those guys back. I mean, my God, it's one loss. It's not that big of a deal. Plus, Takeshita and Fletcher are 2 of the biggest focal points in the company right now. I think everything's going to be all right. We get another beautiful Samoa Joe and Hook fucking Pulp Fiction-esque backstage, where they're like talking stupidity and just small bullshit talk until they get to Christian Cage's locker room, and Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne are just in there just like kindling. They're just like, it was like, okay, it's bait, but then Christian Cage is just such a pussy, just laying in the back, like just laying in corners and shit. He's not about it. So of course, Hook and Joe just destroy Kip and old Nick Wayne. And Christian Cage like waits for them to leave, and he's like, what's going on, guys? Oh my God. And that was good. But another thing, I just don't want this to fall away. I hope, because now Joe's involved, that this thing becomes something, and not just a bunch of tag matches. Fucking give me Joe versus Christian Cage. You don't even have to put up the fucking clipboard. Just fucking give me that match. And then, the internet's favorite wrestler lately, MJF, comes to the ring. And this was great, because at one point, Tony Schiavone's like, he's going to come out here and just be mean. He's not going to do anything. And he immediately is like, Jeff Jarrett, you old fossil, you couldn't do it. I told you. This is all elite wrestling, not all elderly wrestling. And as he's talking, Max Caster runs by, and he's like, Hangman, Hangman. And indeed, Hangman's music hits. He gets in the ring. We have another quick little Hangman MJF standoff, and I keep saying that's money. I like that they're teasing, though. I like that they're just not going with it. They're kind of letting it simmer. But I don't like what they're doing with MJF. He's like, all right, let's fucking go. And Dustin Rhodes interrupts him. And I'm just like, oh my God. And again, I don't hate Dustin Rhodes even. I'm just one of those guys that I feel like old timers have a place, and that's being old timers. That's giving the young guys the rub. I understand you can't give a rub if you don't stay over, yada yada. I understand all that, but you shouldn't fucking be on TV like you're on fucking TV. Okay, sorry, not Dustin. Dustin hasn't been on TV. He barely gets used. But Jeff Jarrett, a focal point. Fuck that. And I don't like that we're just pivoting and what is this like? All I keep thinking is MJF is just doing the Joey Janela old guy thing where like Joey Janela just does all these indie shows with old guys because he loves doing it, and that's fine, but like why are we ripping that off for AEW? Like, I don't know, it feels weird. Dustin does have a good promo here, hey, you leave my friend Owen's name out of your mouth. Stop talking about people's personal lives. I crawled out of hell, Max. You're no devil. I like that though. And yeah, he's like he talks about how it took your whole career to get out of your daddy's shadow, and now you live in the shadow of your little baby brother, and he gets fucking decked, and we're on, and we got a brawl, and okay, but okay, the end of this is just going to be MJF beating him, so I don't know, and then we get an incredible match. Not only just an incredible match, but a great moment. Timeless Tony Storm playing Mariah May goes up against Queen Aminata and the AEW Women's World Champion Mariah May on commentary here. I saw a lot of issues where people had a problem with the commentary. I think a lot of that is, and I'm not trying to be mean, but I definitely think a lot of it went over some people's heads. I think it was a lot of by design. I think you have to remember that anything involving Timeless Tony is going to be camp. They go with it. They make it as silly as humanly possible. And I think the commentary, was about that as well. Mariah does an amazing job here of being so mortified. She's like, that's not Mariah May. That's Toni Storm in the ring. And Toni Storm went all out. She's got the shitty extensions in. She's got the gear, literally the gear that Mariah May wore, I want to say like a year ago. So this was great. But the match was even better. Queen Aminata showed up for this fucking thing. You think like this is going to be a job match. It was not a job match. This was a very back and forth battle. And holy shit, was it good. And I felt weird. I will admit with this, it did feel bizarre that we're doing this like sort of comedy character stuff. And Queen Aminata is just the third wheel. I don't like that. I think because of her performance here, I hope we give her more TV stuff because she really deserves it. She has been great on Ring of Honor. She's been great in AEW anytime they ever use her. I think it's time to really invest in her, I would not even hate her, like, really flipping the script and maybe joining the Vendetta. Like, Deanna and fucking Ty Valkyrie. I think that could work. Because she's got that sass factor to her that I almost feel like she should be, like, a mean heel. Also, I'm just going to throw this into the universe. I think I need Queen Aminata versus Megan Bayne. But either way, Toni Storm gets the win here. Mariah's pissed. And she's just going into, I'm Mariah May, and I'm just standing on the neck of every woman in the division. And there's no division but me. The shit that Mariah did. Mariah's angry. She looks like she's going to whoop her ass, and then she just pulls the chicken shit heel thing and just runs away. We have a Dustin Rhodes mini promo that didn't need to be talked about. And then the New York Minute. And this was good, actually. This is some old school shit right here. He's mad about Collision because on Collision, we finally got the Bandito return that we were meant to have in the Hammerstein at Final Battle, but he fucking concussed himself and it was just wrestle crap fucking awfulness. Thank God that has sort of went away to time, but He came back on Collision. He looked great. He killed everybody. Well, Jericho's pissed. There's $100,000 he's putting on Bandito's head, and he just so happens to have a bounty hunter best friend, Brian Keith. So Brian Keith on Collision is gonna whoop up on Bandito in his return match, and Big Bill, uh, it's mentioned by Jericho, has just whooped on Powerhouse, just like Brian Keith's gonna whip on fucking Bandito. And Powerhouse comes out like a fucking house of fire. There's a brawl, there's a fracas going on. The Outrunners come out, they get involved. It's a big separation. I'm excited for this Big Bill Powerhouse Hobbs singles. I almost want them to delay this fucker all the way to Revolution. Just go with the meat match with these guys because I think it's fucking money. Speaking of money, this Swerve Ricochet main event was phenomenal. I watched this thing twice because it was so good to me. Because I like the combination of the character work where Ricochet, and I continue to say that he really truly has taken like the creepy little bastard moniker from Christian Cage. I mean, he really is a creepy little bastard with the scissors and the fucking Dahmer glasses. Like this is great. And then right away, Ricochet just comes out and nails Swerve with a chair, beating the shit out of him, hits his finish, kicks out. He keeps hitting fucking dives. And then this just becomes a fucking bomb fest. I mean, Swerve comes back. He's power bombing Ricochet on the fucking edge, like spine to the fucking like rail. It was disgusting. I don't know how the fuck his spine is all right, and I'm sure it's not. And we just go back and forth. I mean, fucking throwing each other on their heads. We got a Swerve stomp, but Ricochet kicks out, which is a big deal. We got 450s. We got fucking shooting stars. And at some point, house call's coming. He's going for the Swerve stomp. Ricochet hits a low blow, hits the spirit gun, and he beats Swerve. And just to add insult to injury, he beats Swerve. Swerve's down, his nuts hurt. Poor guy. And he takes the Jimmy Rave robe. And I mean, there was some heat there. And by the way, just a little wrinkle that maybe people didn't catch up on. Jimmy Rave was from Atlanta, Georgia. So I mean, maybe they didn't think of it. I would hope Tony would be smart enough to think about it, though. That's heat, folks. Like, woof. Okay. I love it. I love Ricochet with all the heat he is getting. I don't know. He just is very different since coming to AEW. And especially since coming to into the heel shit that he's been doing. I love it. He's just on a different level. He feels way more confident. And especially in promos, that was the one thing that everyone sort of was like, oof, Ricochet's not good at talking. And now in AEW, he's so much better. And it's because he has something he can sink his teeth into. And I think he's a prime example of somebody, and I thought this for years, but especially near the very end of his run, he was an AEW guy. He got a lot of heat when he said something about, well, AEW wouldn't exist without me. And I'm sure it came out of context. I didn't even see what he said, but like, he's not fucking wrong. Because really, at the end of the day, his generation, including him, they are the ones that made AEW occur. Let's remember, I mean, the Bucks are from his generation. Fucking, Hangman, all that shit. Well, Hangman's even after him. But yeah, that style is why AEW exists. And Ricochet was one of the very best at it before he went to WWE. And he would have been an OG fucking AEW guy. There's no doubt in my mind. So that was Dynamite. And I'm going to do something that we never do on the show because I am doing this after Dynamite for once. We're actually going to go into the preview of Collision Saturday because I think it's going to be a very good card. You've got the face-to-face Kazuchika Okada and Buddy Matthews leading into their Continental title match in Brisbane. That'll be great. Of course, the halftime Harley in Houston concert. I mean, there's nothing better than that. Mariah May having a glamorous exhibition match. She's going to kill somebody. And this is the beautiful fuckery that I love about AEW. They don't give a fuck. They know people are talking shit, so they go, fuck it. All right, we're going to throw a clusterfuck in here. 3-way trios match. Undisputed Kingdom against Daniel Garcia, Cool Hand Ange, and Daddy Magic. And they all face Shane Taylor Promotions, Infantry, and Shane Taylor. Give me all this. I love the multi-man fuckery. I know people hate it online. That makes me like it more, by the way. The more people hate it, the more I like it. So there's that. And then, of course, we just talked about the big return match. Bandito against Brian Keith. I think it's going to be a solid match. And Bandito's going to win that thing. And I hope he stays healthy. Because, man, I think Bandito's one of those guys that could be such a big deal for AEW. He's got something. And he's very, very good in the ring. I mean, he's a former Ring of Honor world champion. Come on. Penelope Ford against Thunder Rosa. I think this will be a Thunder Rosa win. But, these are two women that feel like they're just sort of spinning their wheels right now. So anything can happen. It's AEW. And our main event, one of the stellar matches of the Continental Classic. And I'm glad that they're rolling this one back. Mark Briscoe against Kyle Fletcher. What a fucking match. And I hope that it is even a morsel of as good as their Continental Classic match, because if so, that one will be a great one. So that is what we have. A little bit of a short one this week. Not going the full hour, but, outside of like the Rumble, like I said, I mean, there really wasn't a lot to talk about the Rumble. And Dynamite was very good, but, there's not a lot to really harp on. Like I said, Death Rider's thing needs to either go or evolve. I'm trying to think of anything that I don't like right now. Oh, I will bring up again, and I'm going to start just doing this every week. Where the fuck is Wardlow? Where is he at? Let's bring him in. Let's do something with him. That was one of the guys that I would have been happy to see him be a Don Callis guy. My God, do something with the fucking guy. So that's that. Outside of that, there was a very, very good New Japan match that occurred. And that was, I believe, on the 4th. Let me check that real quick, because I don't want to look like a fucking idiot on my own show. Let's see here. It was Kosei Fujita against El Desperado for the Junior Heavyweight Championship of the IWGP, and it was phenomenal. Let's pull this up here. I know this is very compelling audio of me just being like, what match was that I'm going to half-ass talk about? Here it is. Yes, it was the February 4th show, and this was great. Kosei Fujita, one of my favorite young guys in New Japan right now. And, I mean, my God, Desperado, one of the greats in New Japan, not just as a junior, but overall. I think he's really been overshadowed by Takahashi for a lot of people, especially the Western world, where, he's so vibrant and so flamboyant that he kind of takes the attention that a lot of the rest of the division deserves as well, because I think Desperado is one of the very best. And this was great. And for Fujita to hang with a guy like Desperado, and he was there for all of it. He was there for all the epic dives, the intricate mat work, the drama, just the fucking chops, the viciousness. He was there. And I think this was really a match, and maybe, for me, the match, where I went, well, I like Fujita because I just like him, right? There was something about the way he looked or whatever when he was a young boy. You clamor to certain people, right? Like, I felt the same thing for Umino, right? Shota. Even as a young boy, I was like, he's got I don't know. I just think he holds himself well, maybe. I don't know. But then he wrestled, and I was like, this fucking kid is crazy. And then in this match, I was like, this kid's crazy, but he's also very good at wrestling. Like, okay, like, it felt like he really arrived in this match. I'll put it that way. So as we roll on to the New Beginnings, I believe in Osaka show, on February 11th, we got a hell of a card because we have the epic battle of Zack Sabre Jr. against Hiroki Goto for the IWGP World Championship. Yota Tsuji putting his global championship up against Gabe Kidd. That will probably be match of the night. The Young Bucks putting their IWGP tag titles on the line, which is bizarre to say again, against Naito and Takahashi. Takeshita will put his never openweight title on the line against Oleg Boltin, which amazing. Love that. Again, Kosei Fujita, by the way, one half of the junior tag champs with Robbie Eagles. They'll be putting their titles on the line against Rocky Romero and Yo. Taichi against Sonata in the grudge match. And then it's like Shota against Great Okan. Ooh, this will be a good one. Shingo Takagi and Drillo Maloney. And then just, why not? We get Tanahashi against Togi Makabe. A little throwback there. But before that, we got a little Fantastica Mania where CMLL shows up. And here's two matches from two different shows I'm very excited about. If you love Lucha Libre, February 27th, we got Templario against Volador Jr. Both of those guys, unbelievable. Fast as shit. Very, very technically sound. And then just an old school, I would imagine, brawling situation between Mystico and a legend in CMLL, Averno. So yeah, a lot going on for New Japan. I'm very excited about that. I definitely want to cover them more, but that is absolutely all I got now. So we dug into the New Japan coffers, and that is all we got this week. I always appreciate the listen, the follows on the socials, and just love wrestling. Maybe today, here's my homework for you. Watch more wrestling, do less social media posting. So with that, I'll see you next time.